Hello citizens and welcome back. In today's video, I want to talk about master modes, what they are trying to solve, and what issues they might have. As always, if you like this video, sacrifice a like and a comment to the YouTube algorithm and subscribe for more. And here's a shout out to our amazing patrons for their support of the channel and the Armory. So, what are master modes? Master modes overhaul the way we fly our ships. Basically, they split the flight operations into two modes: SCM mode and nav mode. I believe SCM stands for Standard Combat Maneuver. SCM allows you to use your weapons, countermeasures, and shields. The trade-off is that your speed is very limited. Of course, you can still boost to reach your ship's maximum speed, but this is limited by your boost capacitor. On the other hand, nav mode allows you to travel at high speeds, as well as quantum boost over short distances and quantum travel over long distances. The trade-off here is that you can't use your weapons and your shields are down. Also, keep in mind that you're still limited by the maximum speed of your ship, as well as its acceleration and any environmental speed limits. This will be important later. There is also going to be a change to how quantum travel works in general. The current system is basically a placeholder. Rather than being physicalized, your ship is simply moving along a predetermined trajectory. With Master Mode, CIG are introducing a new, physicalized quantum travel, meaning that your ship is being physically moved through the universe. Also in Master Modes, when you start your quantum jump, you will have to actively steer the ship for a few moments until the quantum bubble stabilizes. You can actually go and test some parts of this in Arena Commander right now, and I strongly recommend that you do. This also comes with a number of changes to weapons, targeting, and general ship behavior and tuning, but I'm going to cover that later, because there are some very important and sweeping changes to how we use our ships. First, let's talk about the lore explanation for this change to the flight model. Essentially, to travel at high speeds in the Star Citizen universe, ships need to utilize their quantum drive. What the quantum drive does is that it creates a quantum bubble around your ship, which is what allows you to travel faster. And that's basically it. The problem is that the quantum drive is quite power hungry, so that other systems need to be powered off when it's in use. And at the same time, the quantum bubble can't be disturbed by any projectiles leaving the ship. Hence why your weapons need to be turned off while in nav mode. Now, why do we need this split from a gameplay point of view? Star Citizen has a problem. And the problem is that combat is too fast. High speeds also increase the distance at which combat is happening. CIG don't like this. They want space combat to be very close quarters and very slow. They tried multiple things to address this. The most recent one was making weapons less accurate at higher speeds and lowering their range. This wasn't quite effective. Now you may ask, why not just slow down all the ships across the board? You could do that, but that brings another problem. Space is massive, especially in Star Citizen. And sometimes players need to travel hundreds of kilometers without the use of a quantum drive. So slowing ships down unilaterally would make traveling to missions very time consuming, and that's not a lot of fun. The logical solution is to split combat and travel into two modes, which is how CIG came up with the concept of master modes. However, you can't make this change to the flight model on its own. It also comes with an updated UI, but more importantly, there are a lot of changes to weapons. First of all, ballistic weapons are going to make a big comeback. Ammo capacities are going to be increased greatly. I believe this will eventually come with a significant ammo capacity increase for turreted weapons, but this hasn't been confirmed yet. Next, weapon ranges and projectile speeds are getting rebalanced. Repeaters now also have a very fast rate of fire, and this combined with the newly introduced weapon spread looks very cool. Speaking of weapon spread, this works as you would expect. The longer you fire a weapon, the less accurate it gets. I think this is done to prevent players from emptying out the entire magazine or capacitor in one go, or to make them get closer to their target. CIG are trying to fit all existing and future weapons into three categories: anti-fighter, anti-material, and anything else. Which is an interesting choice, but I think they are doing this in an effort to make balancing new weapons a lot easier. Also, if this new classification of weapons is clearly made visible in the game, I think it will aid players in choosing the right weapon for the task at hand. But that's not all. CAG are introducing a new precision aiming mode. This allows you to zoom in on your target and shoot at subcomponents. You are actually able to target subcomponents right now as well, but the precision aiming mode introduces a more streamlined way to do this. But to make this possible with all ships and turrets, CAG essentially had to make every ship and turret use gimbaled mounts. But to do this, they had to remove the N-1 system. What that did was that if you had a size 4 weapon slot and you put a gimbal on it, you could only mount a size 3 weapon in that slot. On top of that, only turrets will now be able to use automatic gimbals. All other weapons will be limited to fixed or player-operated gimbal mode. All of this is a major shift in how weapons and combat works. The general takeaway seems to be that turrets will now be a lot more deadly, which I believe was the general intention from the start. But we will see how that turns out when Master Modes go live. Now, the same way CAG are splitting weapons into categories, they also want to split ships. They haven't revealed the full list of categories or what ships they contain, but so far we know that we have light fighters, medium fighters, heavy fighters, interceptors, gunships, and frigates. The idea is that ships in the same category will have similar flight tuning. I imagine at the first release this will mean that all ships in the same category will have the same speed and agility, and then CAG will tune them from there. Same applies to which ship is in which category. The especially controversial decision was to make the Prospector be in the light fighter category. But I think that this is due to Master Modes and the weapons changes to be primarily designed around combat. So I think that we will see non-combat ship archetypes at some point in the future. There are also some unclear areas around Master Modes. The way CAG have presented this is that if you want to disengage from a fight, you just switch to nav mode and run away. In the current implementation, once you make the switch to nav mode, your shields start collapsing while the quantum bubble is forming, and you start accelerating only after your shields are gone. The problem right now is that with the current ship health pool, by the time you accelerate enough to outrun your attacker, you'll be long dead. This might, however, change once armor and physicalized damage come in. I think the assumption is that ships will be able to take a few punches before exploding, which could solve the problem. CAG have also said that switching to nav mode to disengage from combat should be a costly decision. Now that makes sense when you're engaged in combat. I'm not sure how exactly it should work when you're attacked and you're trying to disengage in the first place rather than fight. This also comes with the question of which mode am I going to be in when I'm mining or salvaging. I think logically it should have to be SCM mode, but again we will see when we get our hands on it. Now, going back to what I said earlier, even if you are in nav mode, your speed is still limited by environmental factors. Meaning that if you are in the atmosphere, your speed is going to be reduced. This poses another problem when trying to disengage while in the atmosphere. It's not as simple as switching to nav mode and running away as CAG have made it sound. I think you would have to speed away in SCM until you're far enough out of the atmosphere to properly accelerate in nav mode. There are many questions that are going to get answers when Master Modes are released. But ultimately, Master Modes are a step in the right direction. After a lot of testing, I think that they lower the skill ceiling to get into combat while retaining the high skill level needed to achieve mastery. And the slower, much closer nature of combat enables highly positional dogfights, which I think was the goal all along. Plus, the changes to quantum travel will make long distance travel a lot easier. There is also some talk about scanning changes, but that's out of scope for this video and we don't really have any information about this yet. Now, yes, Master Modes have a lot of questions and potential issues, but CAG don't have to address those in the initial release. I'm sure they'll be doing very active tuning and fixing in the patches to come, and personally I am very excited to see the results. And with that being said, that's all for tonight. What do you think? Do you like Master Modes? Do you think it's a step in the right direction? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, fly safe, and I will see you in the verse.